Hello and welcome into the Cubs on Deck podcast. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Greg Huss, and today I am joined by both of my wonderful co-hosts, Bryan Smith and Greg Zumach. We are here to do the single nerdiest thing we do every single year. It is an absolute joy to bring you guys the Cubs prospect fantasy draft. Zumach, is this also the nerdiest thing that you do, like even outside of podcasting every year?
No, probably not. But we'll say yes.
Bryan, I know this is something you look forward to every single year, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing this a while now. We have like an actual history of record for this, even though we don't, necessarily decide who wins and loses, because I think Z's fanboys get in the mentions and, they overvote for him. So, until we have scientific process, I recognize no history of this.
I will just say that I had a lot of people jump in to say I won last year, and while I appreciate the sport, I don't think I did. I think my team was worse.
Well, we can check. We can always check the note. I've got, if you guys are watching on YouTube, I've got the past history, 2023, 2024. This is the fourth annual Cubs prospect fantasy draft. We'll have to go back and look. I think I did go back and look at this from a year ago, like the teams from a year ago at the end of last season. And I think Zumach, I think you had pulled it out, but all the teams ended up being pretty damn good a year ago. So this year we better go ahead and get right into it, guys. So I'll set the framework here. So what we do every year is we do a snake draft, like you would do a fantasy baseball draft, fantasy football draft, whatever it is, and we are just drafting prospects in the Cubs system, and we are trying to assemble the best possible team. So this year we've kind of adjusted the pitcher setup. So we have 4 starting pitchers that we're drafting. We have 3 pitchers because it does make sense in minor league baseball, where there's the piggybackers, there's guys that we think might be starters coming into the year. They might be relievers. We're not really sure what their role is. So we have 3 additional pitchers besides just the 4 starters. We have an entire lineup, catcher, first base, second base, third base, shortstop, left field, center field, right field. And we also have a DH, and the DH doesn't have to be a DH specific person. It's just kind of we get an extra hitter there. And then we fill out 3 bench spots, 1 extra infielder, 1 extra outfielder, and 1 we can choose whoever we see fit to fill that last bench spot. So we'll end up having, actually this year we'll have 19 players per team. We've got 57 total selections. I did randomize the draft order this year, just like past years, and it was the exact same order as a year ago, which is me, Bryan, Zumach in that order. But again, we have a draft, so honestly, I think that having the first pick, it doesn't necessarily play to my advantage here.
I agree.
I think that whoever has third probably is, I don't know, but Zumach, you have third. Sorry, buddy.
I do.
Yeah. So guys, am I missing anything before we dig right in?
No, I don't think so. I think everything's up on the screen. It's awesome. Again, this is just for fun. So there are some stipulations, right? Did you talk at all about, these have to be rookie eligible? So yes, players may be in the minor leagues, but them being 27 and have played 2 years in the majors does not count. We're really just focusing on the minor league portion. So guys that may be eligible, but they play in the majors. How are we doing that? Pretty much not really contributing, right?
So I feel like what we've done in the past is like guys like Moises Ballesteros and Kevin Alcantara are eligible for this, given that they're still rookie eligible. They're still on our prospect rankings, and so we are counting those guys here. We are counting all the way down to the Dominican Summer League. If you guys have, I'll admit, I probably will not, but if you have DSL guys that you want to draft, have at it. That's part of this, and then. Part of this too, again, we don't really score it at the end, but it's we're drafting a team of prospects, but also we want to see good results. So we might see a guy that is maybe pushed a little extra, and maybe he doesn't perform quite as well in AA or AAA. You guys can take that into account if you want. I don't know. I'm just gonna assemble a team of fun prospects, but yeah,
I feel like major league stats do matter, but they matter just as much as the low A stats do for that particular player, right? We don't we don't necessarily penalize a player for being at a different level. It's just how do you perform in the 2026 season is really what we're trying to capture.
For sure. Cool. Okay, so if you guys are listening on any podcast platform, we're gonna be emphasizing who we are selecting, so you don't fall behind. Like, you'll be able to get this on podcasting platforms, just audio only. If you are watching on YouTube, then we've got the teams pulled up on the left side of the screen. We've got the selections pulled up on the right side of the screen. I'll be filling that in as we go, and let's go ahead and have at it. Right?
Yeah, let's do it.
With the first selection of the 2026 Cubs prospect draft, my team selects Jaxon Wiggins with the first overall pick. I think that, like, it came down to between him and Bally. And for me, like, Jaxon Wiggins is the number one prospect in the Cubs organization, and so it only makes sense for me to select him first overall.
That makes it pretty easy in a system with two guys near the top. I will take the other. Moises Ballesteros is going to be a catcher on my team. I will say that I do think that the Cubs seem more committed to the idea that Moises could catch in the future than I've ever heard before. I think it's a real possibility that he catches 15 games in the majors this year and 40 next season, and that's an exciting development for his value to this organization.
Zumach, you have two selections here. You, like I mentioned before, you kind of have a weird spot where the board kind of opens up for you here at number three and four.
It does. All right. I'm going to take the guy that I am shocked is on the board, but this is Jefferson Rojas as a shortstop. I'm going to jump absolutely right in there. And then this other choice is tough. I may switch his position later, but I'm going to toss out, well, you know what? The person that I think is just going to rack up stats is Kane Kepley. So I'm going to take Kane Kepley, put him in at center field.
Yeah, and I'll note too that if you guys want to, like, we can kind of shift around some of these positions within reason. We've done that every year, where if you've got a guy, like if you've got two center fielders, Zumach, you can move Kane Kepley if you want to a left field or whatever that might be, or Rojas to second base if you draft another shortstop. So we're typically pretty lax with some of the positional value. So yeah, Rojas and Kepley for Greg Zumach here. Brian, back to you.
I am going to take Pedro Ramirez at second base. Pedro is leaving Knoxville, where nobody hits at all, going to a league that's pretty hitter friendly, and certainly just has looked like an absolute dude this spring. Second base going to be a little light, so most likely I'm going to plug him there.
Man, I was definitely going to grab Pedro Ramirez. I mean, I think that, like, I think second base and third base especially, I think, is very light in the system. Like, I think third base is extremely light. And so, like, I was really hoping that Pedro would drop to me. Jefferson Rojas is clearly a better prospect than Pedro Ramirez, but, like, I almost, like, would have taken Pedro, like, third or fourth, just because, like, I just think that, like, the position scarcity of third base in this organization. Obviously, you have him here at second base, Brian, but yeah, it's just, that's an interesting.
And he might move when, the draft board comes a certain way. We'll see.
Yeah, so this is interesting for me here. I've got two picks. I think that I'm gonna go ahead and select the two guys. Give me a whole bunch of offense. I'm gonna go Kevin Alcantara. I think that this is we've talked about how important this year is for Kevin Alcantara, and I'm hoping that he kind of lives up to those expectations, those hopes that we have for him. So I think that he gets a lot of run in AAA. I think that he might be up and down between the majors and AAA, which might make it very difficult for him to find a groove. And we know he gets off to a slow start, but we know he always comes around. So Kevin Alcantara is my 6th overall pick, and I am putting him in center field to start off. And then give me some offense. Keep the offensive train rolling. I will take Jonathan Long with my 7th overall pick, and I will stick him at first base. Maybe we'll stick with the Cubs development process and have him at first base until absolutely necessary, and then I'll move him somewhere else later on down the road. So I've got Kevin Alcantara and Jonathan Long to help with my offense. Brian, back to you.
Okay, I am gonna go with Josiah Hartshorn, who I think has a real chance to end this season as the number one prospect in the organization. And that's going to take a pretty big breakout if it happens, but if it does, I think it'll lead to a W in this exercise. I will put him, right field looks good to me.
Perfect.
Yeah, if you weren't going to, that was going to be my pick. So no, I think great call on Hartshorn. People are super high on him behind the scenes. I'm going to take a couple guys that have gotten a little bit of pub recently, and that's Owen Ayers. I'm going to put him in at catcher. There's actually a decent amount of catchers this year. This is kind of the first year that, Mo at catcher helps, but this is the first year in a couple that I've actually felt pretty good about that. The next one, pitching is going to be tight. I'm going to jump in with Brooks Capel.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah. I know.
My God.
Don't look at the prospect ranking. He's looked better. The velo's there. He's adding a sweeper. I don't know if that's public. It is now. I think
he did throw it in the spring breakout, so it was in the.
But yeah, I think there's enough there. I think he's a really good arm. And yeah, Jacksons are the dude, and then after that, there's some room for people to perform. So. Going with Brooks.
I love that so much. That was so fun. You're like, oh, I really need some pitching, and I was like, oh, there's a lot of different options here.
Yeah.
And Brooks Capel, I love
none of those.
I love that. That was awesome. Let me insert real quick here before you go, Brian, with your next pick. You drafting Owen Ayers, I think, is really interesting. I obviously you guys both have not to spoil my draft strategy here, but like I'm hoping you don't pull the rug out from under me. You guys getting Ballesteros and Owen Ayers, like in my eyes, like there's three very clear cut top three prospects in the catching department in the Cubs organization. And so like, I think that drafting Owen Ayers, like go get your guy, you know what I mean? Like, I think he's tremendous. He had a home run in the spring breakout game the other day, which was awesome. Actually the entire spring breakout game, like, the results of that were incredible between both hitting and pitching. So super, super fun.
Yeah, and real quick, breakout game was a total blast. I went back and kind of watched some, and having some of the players like get on there, and they actually picked some players who had some really like expressive thoughts and were great. Like, it was great all around.
You guys remember when Will Sanders got on the mic last year for the spring breakout game, and he was interviewed and like was. That like stuck with me hard, how like personable and how fun he was being interviewed last year.
And he was great this year again too, and so was James Triantos. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for as much as like Rob Manfred gets a lot of well-deserved hate, like the spring breakout game was fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
Really in our niche. So.
All right, Brian.
I'm gonna go down, Greg, to row 23, my bench outfield spot.
What? You still have two regular outfield spots, right?
Yeah.
Spot? Okay.
I just think, when we realize that we've overreacted to Ethan Conrad, just missing 6 weeks here, we're gonna look at my list later and we're gonna say, oh my gosh, he's got Ethan Conrad on his bench who just had the second half that, the best second half in the organization. And so I just wanted to look that way on the spreadsheet.
Yeah. You know what? I'm hand up. So Ethan Conrad is out for a little bit. He's got the lower back issue that was reported on I think today, right? Or, Sunday or Monday that it was reported that he's dealing with a back issue. He's going to be out for about a month at least, I think is the reports. And so, but hand up though, like I forgot about Ethan Conrad in this draft. Like you got him at 11 overall. Like that is silly that you just got Ethan Conrad at 11.
Yeah, I was waiting to see who was going to pop him. I intentionally did not bring up his name earlier.
Fair.
I was hoping people were going to forget about him.
Fair. Yeah, that's hurting me now that I'm looking at I have back-to-back picks. So thank you for that, Brian. That's terrific. All right. So I'm up here. I've got on my team, I've got number one pitcher Jaxon Wiggins. I've got Jonathan Long. I've got Kevin Alcantara. I think that every time it comes back around to me, I'm going to be saying, oh man, like I could use some pitching, but I think I'm going to hold off on the pitching for now. What do we got here, guys? I'm gonna bank on a bounce back season here from James Triantos. Him dropping
Makes
down to
sense.
the 12th overall pick makes me feel comfortable selecting him. I'll stick him at second base for now, given some of the depth. But if I get some maybe like young shortstops later on, I might move him Triantos back out to the outfield, potentially in center field. But we'll put him at second base for now. And then after James Triantos, I think we are way quicker than past years, getting to the point where like we just draft our guys, right? Like I feel like in past years it's been like pick like 20 or pick like 25, or it's like, oh, let's get crazy, let's pick some fun guys. I came away super impressed with Caleb Wing during that spring breakout game, and so I don't know just how much time he's going to get in Myrtle Beach. It doesn't matter. I'm really excited to see what he produces this season. That changeup looked phenomenal. The fastball was way better than I expected it to be. Sitting low 90s, touching mid 90s, having 19 inches of vert on it. Really like that fastball and changeup combo from Caleb Wing.
That changeup was ridiculous. For a kid that has not been throwing that pitch very long, that was sensational stuff. I'm really excited about the future that Caleb has.
I kind of like that I might have the top two pitchers. I mean, with all due respect to the Brooks Capel pick, Greg Zumach. I like Caleb Wing, like big time helium pick potentially, you know?
No, it's true. It's true. No, Caleb's great, and I just got even more strong feedback about him. I think today or yesterday when I was commenting to people about this exercise, and they're just like, "No, what Caleb Wing is even doing behind the scenes is really impressive."
Wait, let me get this straight. Were you talking to people behind the scenes that you were going to do a Cubs prospect fantasy draft on this?
I mean, kind of. Yeah, I was just like, "Hey, so this is the basic premise," and they're just like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting." They're like, "So it's not just prospects." I was like, "I mean, kind of. I don't know."
That's incredible. Brian, what you got with your 14th overall pick here?
So you made me nervous when you started talking about that you were going to draft your guy, you were going to step out, because I had a guy I really wanted, a guy that has looked so good this spring.
Don't do it.
That I just cannot. And I will say this: if this guy starts in South Bend, he is going to win Player of the Year in the organization. I really believe that. If he starts in Double-A, I don't believe that as closely. Cade Snell, left field. Let's go.
Man, I almost did him instead of Triantos. I'm pissed. Dude, he's I mean, what was it, 449 on the home run during the spring breakout game?
Yeah, I talked to Cade in spring training, and it just seems like the off-season workout routine that the Cubs put him on, he's just seeing such benefits in the box that he didn't even expect how quick it would help him translate into power. And excited to see what he has in store for this season.
Dude, we talked about it too. It's like him needing to either be a good center fielder or him develop power. And I was expecting like maybe a little bit of each this year, and then we really need to see it in 2027. It's like, all right, or he can just develop all kinds of power right now, and that's awesome. I love it. Zumach, what you got?
Yeah, that actually put a wrinkle into what I was. So the next person I'm going to go with is a guy that actually I wasn't sure who you're going to take, but I thought Brian was going to pop this guy. Hayden McGarry. Put him at first base. Just let the dude mash. And then he made the comment about if he's going to start at South Bend. I'm like, whoa, what kind of intel did you get? Yeah, he is going to mash if he starts at South Bend. But, I mean, I think this is a guy that we've been waiting on for years. He's shown flashes of it. But if it all comes together, that dude is going to mash for this team. So I'm definitely going Hayden McGarry at first base. I'm loading up on power here. Now I'm in a bit of a conundrum. I'm not going to lie. This is kind of a tough spot to be. Oh, let's see here. Let's see. Could go with third base options, but they're dwindling really quickly. I think I'm just going to take another infielder that I believe in. I'm not sure about the position. Let's toss him in at second base at the moment, but we could always flip-flop. Cepeda. We're going to go Cepeda.
That would have been my pick. Yeah, good pick.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Where'd you say you wanted Cepeda
at? Just the other infield spot.
Second base?
Yeah. I mean,
he'll be a second baseman for the time.
Manager's discretion, we may flip-flop him, but yes.
I'm really excited to see Cepeda. I checked in with Luke Maley when we did the season preview. I don't know if it was on air or off air, and I go, hey, I was like, just to confirm, like it's Angel Cepeda, right? Not Angel Cepeda. And he goes, yeah, he told, so when before last season, when he was checking in with Cepeda, he like checked to make sure the same thing. Cause like naturally, like I want to say Angel Cepeda. Like, that's like I feel very white when I say Angel Cepeda. And so I wanted to say Angel Cepeda, and he goes, yeah, like he confirmed that it was Angel Cepeda, but like he would also he responds to either one of them. He goes, it might be a situation where in a few years, like he's in the majors and he like changes his mind and says like he wants to go by Angel Cepeda, but like as of right now, like Angel Cepeda is what he confirmed last year. So just a note for which is always tough. Like we're talking about these guys for the first time, and like we're talking about them on air on a podcast. It's tough to get some of their names right, especially when you're reading their names all the time. It's tough, but yeah, Angel Cepeda.
All right. Well, I'm gonna dig the knife into Huss a little bit here, because the number one rule of a fantasy draft is you should not show your board. And when a guy says that there's 3 catchers in the system, you shouldn't reveal the fact that you think it thins out. So please move Moises.
Good podcasting.
Move Moises Ballesteros to DH for me, and please put defensive all-star and spring breakout home run hitter Ariel Armas in at catcher.
That's unbelievable.
Johnny Long, get ready to play catcher.
I thought I was making for good podcast conversation. It came back to haunt me. That's honestly, what that does now, with all due respect, it puts me in a good position that I can focus on other positions throughout the remainder of the draft. So I'll do that. All right. So, man, that was just rude. That was uncalled for. Okay. So now I'm looking. I still have a couple infield positions. Third base and shortstop are still on the board. I've got James Triantos at second base, who I can move. So really, I can move him to the outfield, and I can really have all of my infield spots. But if we're in the business of like predicting big seasons from some guys, I'm really, really excited. Despite playing in Knoxville, despite playing in a pitcher's paradise, I'm really excited to see what we get from Edgar Alvarez this year. I think that he's a first baseman in my eyes, but he got a lot of run in the corner outfields last year. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick Edgar Alvarez in right field for the time being. I dig him, man. I think there's a lot to like, and if you go back last year and remove what was it, like the first 7 games where he didn't get a hit to begin the 2025 campaign, and if you remove those 7 games of the season, like he was absolutely tremendous the entire year long. So Edgar Alvarez is a guy I really like, and I think at some point here, I'm gonna have to get some infielder. I've been drinking a little bit of the Bryan Kool-Aid to go back at what you've been doing to me, Brian, with stealing a couple of my picks. I want to jump up. I want to take BJ Murray Jr. You've kind of convinced me. He's a guy that I think is forgotten about in this organization quite a bit, because he spent parts of the last 4 seasons in Double-A, and that's rough. And like no matter how you look at it, he's gotten a lot of run in MLB spring training. He got that experience playing in the World Baseball Classic. He will very likely be up in AAA Iowa, where it's way easier to hit. He put up great numbers in Double-A last year in that pitcher's paradise. Give me BJ Murray Jr., and I'm going to go ahead and stick him at third base again for the time being. So I've got a lot of first base type guys on my roster, but I'll stick him at third.
I like that. I think he's going to hit a bunch. I probably need a pitcher. I am deciding between 2, and I have to think who Z likes better. Give me Riley Martin in my first open pitcher spot. Riley, it's been, I think, reported by Arizona Phil at the Cub Reporter, and I think we heard it a little bit as well, that Riley's stretching out a little bit, might start some games for Iowa this year, or might just be a guy who pitches, gets 8 outs or something at a time. But excited to see what the Cubs saw to motivate that decision, and yeah, I've always been bullish on Riley, and this is just another reason to believe that the Cubs might see that there's even more to unlock.
Yep, I like it. He was definitely going to be one of my picks. So I think he made a good call on that. I could go a couple different ways here, but I'm going to jump in. I'm going to load up on some pitching right now. And I'm actually going to pop Will Sanders right here as another starter. I think he's looked pretty good. The velo is up a little bit.
Yeah.
Might have been feeling the adrenaline of the spring breakout game, but I mean, I think the stuff is jumped a little bit, and that's somebody that we've been kind of waiting on. Next one, we haven't really popped a true like relief pitcher here, and so I'm just gonna go with Kirkpatrick. The stuff is nasty,
Yeah,
and why not just kind of take a guess on stuff?
Yeah, but I think that is. I think that's a terrific pick. If assuming Riley Martin's going to stretch out a little bit, if Jackson Kirkpatrick is the first reliever taken out, like true reliever taken off the board, I think that makes all the sense in the world. He was terrific last year.
I need a true starter. We tend to get good performances from the highest college pitcher drafted that starts the season in A ball. So give me Dominic Reed here as my first starter, please.
All right. You think that he starts in Myrtle Beach?
It's hard to figure out right now, isn't it? It seems so fluid in camp, but I think it's one of those things that if he goes to Myrtle Beach, he's odds of success are really high, but if he goes to South Bend, that means they saw something in camp, and that's also a good sign. So, either outcome, I think I'll be happy with.
I think that I'm going to go. I've got back-to-back picks here. I've already got 2 starting pitchers, but I think I'm going to go ahead and pop another one. While I'm on, I think that by drafting this guy, I have, outside of Jaxon Wiggins, in my mind, like the 2 guys that are most likely to jump up in that like next tier. I've already got Caleb Wing. I'm going to draft Ethan Flanagan next. I really liked what I saw from Ethan Flanagan last year. Obviously, he was pitching at a level that was way younger than the average. Like he was way older than the average player at that level. I think that he'll start off the year in South Bend, where it's nice and cool, and it might be difficult for hitters to hit him. And then he'll bump up to AA, where it is great for pitchers to play. So give me Ethan Flanagan to fill out the 3rd spot in my rotation, and then for my next spot here, let's go with. This is tough. I'm between a couple guys here. I wonder about. Let's go. I'm gonna fill up my other pitcher spot. I don't know if he's a starting pitcher or a reliever. I think he's a starter at least this year. Give me Pierce Capola with this pick.
Yeah.
I think like he probably profiles long term as a reliever, but I think this year he'll be in maybe low A, definitely South Bend at working as a starting pitcher. So give me Capola.
Oh man, you got good staff. Okay, when I asked around at spring training about the likeliest guy not currently in the top 10 to make it to the top 10 at the end of the season, the answer I got back was Juan Cabada. I think he's going to start in the Arizona Complex League. I think he's going to finish in Myrtle Beach. Put him at third base for me, please. He's going to, probably bounce between all the infield positions, but I believe he just played second and third in the DSL last year. Strong kid, saw him in person. Strong kid, kind of profiles to me long term as a power hitting second baseman. Excited to see what he has in store for his American debut.
All right, with that, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back right after this short break with you guys. All right, and welcome back. We are back with Greg Zumach's pick. This is time for you to shine, Zumach. You got back-to-back picks. We're up to pick number 27 overall. We've got we're about halfway through here. I guess before you go, Zumach, how are you guys feeling about your teams?
I feel pretty good about it. I mean, I think I was opportunistic. I think Brian captured the moment very well, which is instead of just going kind of chalk and worrying about it later, we started targeting our guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or each other's guys.
Or each other. Somebody's still a little chippy about the catching.
All right, Zumach, what you got with picks number 27 and 28?
All right. Doesn't really matter on order here, but the first one I'm going to hop in with is Tyler Schlafer. Really liked what I saw from him and was a bit surprised that he signed kind of a multi-year deal, but I thought that he looked really good. Just impressive what he showed us. I think it was just really quality work. The next thing, third base is kind of a tough position to find a spot for. And so I'm actually going to take somebody who maybe feels a little off the board here, but Matt Hallback, I've really liked him since they drafted him. Definitely dealt with the injury issues. Third base is a tough position to fill unless we want to kind of convert an infielder over, which is totally fair. But Hallback looked pretty good, and he was hitting really well in the second half of last year, like a lot of Pelicans. And so, maybe that birds are hot carries over into South Bend this year.
I like it. Brian, you're up next. Our third base positions are filled, which was, I think it's the most impressive part of this entire draft is that we all three got a third baseman.
Wow. Yeah. That was not what the betting markets had in store for us. I am definitely aware of the fact that I'm a little behind as far as pitching goes with what you guys have targeted so far, and so I need to catch up a little bit. The best per inning pitcher in the system last year was Justin Florentino. If he can just do a slice of what he did last year, he's going to be really helpful to have on the roster. I will note that I do not think he is going to make an opening day roster. I think he was just a little behind in camp. But it doesn't sound like he's going to miss very much time. I think he's mostly just playing catch up, and hopefully we see him in late April or something.
All right, guys. I've still got shortstop to fill. I've got another outfield spots. I've got some pitchers. I think the first guy I'm going with here, if you all will allow me to do this is a big ask. I'm gonna take Ty Southesine and put him at shortstop. And the only reason why I'm hoping you'll let that slide is because he is, you can make a legitimate argument that he is the best defensive second baseman, the best defensive player potentially in the entire Cubs organization. And so I know he's a second baseman, but because of that defensive prowess, I'm hoping you allow me to put him at shortstop.
We did it with Nico at the MLB level. So
I was going to make the same pick, so I couldn't argue against it in good faith.
I fully expected you guys to say hell no. That's not allowed. All right, I'll take Ty South. I'm really excited. I think that it's really funny because I've seen a lot of like the national like dynasty prospect type Twitter follows that are picking Ty Southesine as like their breakout prospect for the Cubs organization this year, and I don't know that I've ever viewed him in that way going into this year. I think that like that's the difference between looking at like a national perspective and like they do a great job. Obviously, I'm not even pointing out anyone specific. They do a great job of covering the entire organization or the entire league. I can't imagine doing that. But from a Cubs centrist perspective, like I think Ty Southesine I just want to see him hit for a little bit more power. Like he's a great defensive infielder. He doesn't strike out. He walks a ton. It's just like, give me more power. Like, that's all I need to see from him. I think that he'll still succeed in a great way down in South Bend to start off this year. I think he probably ends the year up in double A Knoxville to end this campaign. So I'll take Ty Southesine, put him at shortstop. And then for my next pick number 31 overall. Oh, guys, give me, I'm going to take this. Give me Luis Martinez Gomez as one of my pitchers. I think that he is, if Jackson Kirkpatrick is number one as far as true relief pitchers in the organization, I think Luis Martinez Gomez might be like 1B, like 1A, 1B, because I think he's terrific. So give me LMG with a pitcher spot.
Yeah, good picks. I'm going to fill my outfield. I'm going to go, everyone that listens probably knows how much I like Alexi Lampoy. I don't have to sing his praises again, but Excited to see what he does outside of Myrtle Beach.
Slots in perfect there for you in center field.
Yeah.
You have a good outfield, dude. Cade Snell. Oh, man. Guys, Cade and
it's
Kane
going to be tough.
It's
a problem
all year long. It is a problem. Cade Snell, Alexi Lumpoy, and Josiah Hartshorn is a pretty damn good outfield for you.
It is. Am I up next?
You are. A couple picks here for Greg Zumach.
I'm going to go outfield is an interesting spot. I think I'm actually going to pop somebody that maybe isn't on the board, but somebody we've actually seen in spring training, which is really surprising, but Daryl DeLeon.
Is it Darlin?
Darlin?
I think it's Darlin.
I'm not positive, but
I knew what you were saying. I'll pick up what you were putting up. You want him in left field?
Yeah, I think left field.
Yeah, he's gotten some run, and I'm very surprised to see that. That's fun.
He has, and he hit really well. And, going from the complex league to A-ball is a little bit of a risk, but also he's a little bit older, so maybe he kind of gets into it. He's gotten into a little bit of juice. I like it. I think it's a fun one. Next one I'm going to go with here is Cisneros.
Nice.
Rowdy boy. As far as position...
Yeah, where do you want him at?
Let's just toss him in a DH. I think anything else is probably. I mean, he could play first, but like anything else is maybe a little bit.
I think he technically got some corner outfield run last year, didn't he? But I mean,
he did. He did, but I meant of the available positions that, yeah, right field, but he's probably left field, first base, DH kind of a dude, and just hit his way there.
All right, we've officially reached deep cut season here. Brian, who you got? Pick number 35.
Not a deep cut for listeners of this podcast. Arian Rodriguez at starting pitcher. I probably has been on my team every year that we've had this. Just keep going to the well. The breakout will come someday if I just keep willing it into existence.
Yeah, we all three have 3 starting pitchers, like true starting pitchers at this point. So that's fun. All right, I've got 2 picks here. I've still got to fill in other outfield spots. Besides that, some DH and bench slots. I'm looking around, guys, and we're at pick number 36, and it feels like it's come to the point where I should just go ahead and take Cole Mathis with this pick. It's just an incredibly, incredibly important year for Cole Mathis. This spring, I've heard such conflicting reports about Cole Mathis, he's gonna break out this year, to maybe they missed on Cole. I don't know what to expect from Cole Mathis. I have no idea. I think getting him at 36 feels like totally reasonable, and I'll stick him at DH for my team. So I've got Cole Mathis. I've got one more pick, and I'm gonna go with give me I need a left field. Actually, I need a left fielder, and there is a minor leaguer that there's not a whole lot of true left fielders in minor league baseball in terms of prospects, but Jose Escobar is a true left fielder. He is a left fielder / DH. I'm going to go with him. I think that he has a nice bounce back season. He was really good in a small sample size in 2024. He wasn't as good last year in Myrtle Beach down in 2025. I think we might see a bounce back year from him. I think he probably starts off the year in South Bend. I think he probably platoons with somebody that might be taken by one of us in a little bit, but give me Jose Escobar in left field.
Apparently hit an absolute bomb the other day in a spring training game as well.
There's a video of that I know our guy Brad posted on the 1060 West Discord channel. Just a free plug there.
I'm going to stick with corner outfield spot, which I'll put on my bench, which I'm rapidly filling up, which is a strange thing to do. But Eli Lovich, if he breaks out this year, it'd be great to have him there. I do think that he's a little more athletic looking than he was last year, and I just think it's sort of rounding into shape, I think, off the field, and oftentimes that leads to a breakout happening on the field.
I'm looking at your team, Ryan. It is hilarious that you have Ethan Conrad down in your bench spot. Like, that is. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this stream when I first plugged him in down there. It's gonna look hilarious. So, all right, Zumach, you got 2 picks here at number 39 and 40.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with for my 4-starter Yenny Rojas.
Yeah,
I think he looked pretty good. The velo is still not very high, but I think he could kind of keep succeeding right there. So boy, we're kind of at an interesting stage here. I've got a couple spots to go. I'm actually going to take the next reliever that I think I really believe in, and that's Tyler Rass.
Nice.
Yeah.
No,
I had him on
pretty nasty. He's on the older side for sure, but stuff's pretty nasty.
I had him on my list as well. I thought I was going to be able to sneak him in there, but that was a good pick for you. Really good pick.
Not my tread guys.
You think so? Tread, like guys that are signed out of tread and guys like Tyler Raz are always tough to predict where he starts off. I know that we got, what was it? Who was it? Zombro came out in an article. Was that the article with that Tommy Birch put out that he said that Tyler Raz may start in Double-A Knoxville? That kind of surprised me. When I initially was looking at it, I figured that he would start in South Bend. Either way, I think he gets a lot of run in Double-A this season.
Double-A Knoxville is what I've heard.
Nice.
Yep. And for Patrick, I mean, I think Double-A, Triple-A kind of a situation. I think he's getting close.
That's awesome.
I'm going to stick in that Double-A pitching staff area and go, I think, with a guy that I'm going to put just on the pitcher line. Don't know if he's going to start or relieve this year, but he's healthy and he looked pretty good in the Arizona Fall League. Cohen Moreno.
Nice. He truly gets that just pitcher line.
Yeah.
Like multi-inning reliever.
And it's just always felt like a guy that's going to show up one year and just be like, throwing 98. And I thought the secondaries looked decent with the advanced metrics in the Arizona Fall League. So, yeah.
All right. My team, I've got 2 picks here. I've got a starting pitcher open. I've got just a open pitcher slot. I've got a catcher slot open and my entire bench. All right. I think I initially did not think this guy would start off the year in Myrtle Beach. And now I'm kind of thinking there's an outside shot that he's up there. I'm going to go with Ludwig Espinoza with my pick. I'm going to put him in the infield. And honestly, that works out well because I don't know what infield position he's going to play during his time in full season ball. But obviously a guy that we were really excited to see when he got signed a couple of years ago. Hasn't had a crazy amount of success in complex ball, but we've seen Ludwig in Major League Spring Training games this spring alongside his brother, which is super fun. So give me Ludwig Espinoza with this pick first at number 42. And then it's fun. It's fun. I'll go ahead and take his brother too. I'll take Leo Espinoza. So I've got both Ludwig and Leonel Espinoza filling my 2 bench spots. Put the brothers with each other, right?
The Bash brothers. That's fantastic.
The Bash brothers. We'll see how they perform in my Bash metric this season.
I mean, yeah, I was going to say, I specifically was hoping you were going to bring that up.
That's perfect, dude. I was not intending when I was about to make these 2 picks, I was not intending to draft those 2 brothers, but now I got them and it's fun. Brian, who you got?
I'm not even gonna lie, I was getting prouder and prouder of that pun. Like,
I love it.
I think Grant Kipp has lasted too long here, especially if he goes back to Double-A. He should be primed for plenty of success. So give him to me in my last starter spot, please.
All right, Zumach.
All right, I'm gonna go youth and upside here. And this is the first one is a guy that when the pick happened, there were folks in the scouting team that had done a tremendous amount of work to make this deal happen. This was not a foregone conclusion it was going to happen. But we know the family well, and this is Kamen Franklin. I just toss him in at the pitcher spot. I don't know what this year is going to bring for him. I know he did a tremendous amount of work to reshape his body in the offseason. Obviously a longer development path, may not see as much out of this year, but I think it's a very fun story. And I know Area Scout Ty Nichols did a lot of homework on that.
He came in will not be like normal high school draft picks in terms of like how he takes to the organization. Having your brother, I mean, still in the organization and very familiar with the Cubs organization is going to help him tremendously as a teenager.
Yeah, absolutely. He understands it, and he comes from a baseball family. So real quick plug, I actually just finished a chapter on Ryan Franklin, so not a Cubs player, but actually a former Mariners, Phillies, Reds, and then we know him well from the Cardinals. But that book on the 2001 Seattle Mariners should be out soon from Saber. And Ryan Franklin was a really nice guy to talk with, and was obviously very proud of his nephews. So real quick plug on that one. Okay, enough on the Franklins, but we're proud of that family. The next one, youth and upside for sure, and that is Mr. Fraker Betancourt.
Oh, nice.
Super young, super deep, but I'm looking at that outfield and I just want to see upside.
Nice. I like you want him in your right field slot here?
For now. Yeah, we'll figure out my bench. My bench may not be quite as crazy as, Mr. Ethan Conrad sitting there like waiting to go.
So I think it's worth pointing. I think it's really, really fun, Zumach, that you have, and worth pointing out, you have both Darwin De Leon and Fraker Betancourt on your roster, like playing left and right field, and those are two names that we have not mentioned at all on this podcast. Like, you just mentioned them for the first time on this podcast, and
yes,
that is like that stuff, like that player where we're witnessing an outfielder in Myrtle Beach for the very first time is one of my favorite things to cover in the organization on a yearly basis. When we're getting our first taste of them down in Myrtle Beach and seeing like fresh set of eyes, all we've gotten up to this point are like videos that Brad posts from the players' Instagrams. And it's super fun. I'm really excited. I really love one of my favorite episodes. I said this a few weeks ago. One of my favorite episodes every year is when I get the Myrtle Beach broadcaster on like about a month into the season, and I can say, hey, like, what can you tell me about these dudes that we know nothing about? And that's always super, super fun. So I'm glad you selected those two guys.
I heard really good things about Fraker when I was down in Arizona. I did not see him with my eyes, but man, did I hear that he's a guy that could already be on a top 30 for the organization and is destined to rise. So it's a nice pick. I am going to go with I'm going to do shouts to Eric Longenhagen over at Fangraphs, who loves Jahiel Melendez. I'm going to put him at shortstop. I don't know how much longer he's got left as a shortstop, but because he just keeps growing. I mean, this dude's big now. He's tall. He's got wide shoulders. Does not seem like a traditional shortstop, even though I think footwork wise it's pretty good. But just kind of seems like the type that is destined for a power breakout because his body's just starting to sort of get to the point where it's actually going to be during his adult life.
When you said shout out Eric Longenhagen and getting ready to start to talk about a player, I thought you were going to refer to Reggie Preciado and draft him, but
and actually, I mean, when you see those two guys in camp near each other, they kind of look similar. So you definitely get a sense for what Eric likes in a prospect, which is that just uber projectable frame. And those two guys definitely both have it. Hopefully, Jahiel's got a better season ahead than Reggie's had, although, Reggie looked pretty good when I saw him in camp this year too, so he's still plugging away.
So I've got two picks here. I've still got two pitcher slots. I've got my catcher slot and my bench slot. I'm going to go ahead and select two pitchers, but the preface on this, I was hoping that you guys, I have a whole list of names that I'm kind of trying to choose between, and I was hoping that you guys would pick off a few of them, and I had kind of a leftover guy, and you guys went off board here, like Cohen Moreno you selected, and Raz and Kamen Franklin and Yenry Rojas. Grant Kipp was on my board for sure, but I'm looking at my list here. Nick Dean is still available. Connor Nolan is still available. Evan Oschenbeck, and there's a lot. Kevin Camacho was a guy that flashed a little bit at the end of 2025, but I'll go ahead and take. I think it would be not it would be doing myself a disservice after I talked so much over the offseason about how much I liked Nick Dean despite the results to not select him here. So I'm going to give Nick Dean this last starting pitcher slot. I think he is destined to return back to the Knoxville rotation. I think he will be better than he was a year ago in terms of results. I think that the changeup is very good. I think that it's still a pitcher's park there. And give me Nick Dean at number 48 overall. And then the other pitcher I'm going to take, it's my last pitcher, so I got to get a little bit fun with it. Give me Jake Knapp. We've talked about him after he was drafted last year out of North Carolina. He is 39 years old, I think. I think he's 20. This is his age 25 season in his first season of pro baseball. And so really excited to see what we get from Jake Knapp. The results in college, his final year there, were absolutely tremendous. He will probably start. I'd imagine that he starts in South Bend, that he does not go to Myrtle Beach to begin his professional career. I don't know if he's a starter or reliever, but he's going to be fun to watch this season.
Worth noting that Arizona Phil has in his depth chart on the Cub Reporter that Jake Knapp has been with the Double-A team for most of spring training. Now, oftentimes that means that he's headed to High A with South Bend. But yeah, it seems like he's been pitching against really advanced hitters, so that's fun.
My forever fun note is that Jake Knapp is older than Cade Horton.
That's a good one.
Oh my God. Incredible.
Brian, what you got at 50 overall?
Yeah, I'm gonna also go with my last pitcher spot, and it's also gonna be a guy that was drafted last year. I saw him pitch in Arizona, Eli Jerzenbeck. He's healthy. He's full of deception. Pitches with a bunch of sort of FU energy on the mound in a good way, and just a nice, like, has good arm speed. I think he's gonna have a nice year. I bet he starts in Myrtle Beach, and I bet he's too good for that level.
I like it. Zumach, you've got a couple picks here, and you've got the only slots that you have available are your 3 bench slots.
Yep. So I'm actually a little amazed at this guy. I know he had a very poor 2025, but I will say I was a little surprised to see Juan Tomas still on the board. And I think there's something there. And I don't know if it's going to cook this year, but I think you had multiple teams that were just too excited about him to have him not produce in like the complex or DSL league. And I really want to kind of take a chance on that. Outfield gets really interesting. And I got to admit, I'm not too sure where I'm going with my next pick here. I have to kind of like scan who I think even.
Yeah, there's as far you've got a few guys to while you're thinking, Zumach. I'll kind of riff a little bit. There's been a few guys that have actually gotten into a decent amount of MLB spring training games this season, which has been super fun to see. You've got still a few young infielders that probably start off the year in the Arizona Complex League, maybe get up to Myrtle Beach. But yeah, this is. I mean, we're 52 picks in, guys. Brian, how many deep did you go in your prospect ranking this offseason?
45, I think.
So we're past your prospect.
Yeah.
We're deep.
All right. I do know. I heard some pretty favorable things about this fine gentleman, who's a friend of a few of the podcasts out there, and he, I think, could be just a phone call away from Chicago. But this is Mr. Brett Bateman, and in my bench outfield spot, which is truly a great spot for him. I think he could have a pretty long career, carving out some roles out there.
I like it. All right, Brian, this is your second to last pick, right? You've still got a first base spot open?
I mean, you guys, I have to say you guys made first base very hard because you took Edgar Alvarez, you put him in the outfield, you took Cisneros, you put him at DH.
Hey, for what it's worth, you've got Moises Ballesteros in your DH slot. If you really need to, I don't want to speak for Zumach here, but you can move Moises to your first base slot and go with a DH here.
I think that's too generous. I think, I actually posted a video of a player that caught my eye in Arizona last week, and he did play first base in the DSL last year, and he's He's been playing in a bunch of he's been a guy that comes in the late innings in AAA games and in spring training. So I think the staff really likes him. His name's Lionel Vivas, and I'm going to put him at first base. Projectable guy, apparently makes really nice swing decisions, can play shortstop, but is also playing some first base, right-handed hitter. Just literally I walked up for his batting practice, was like, man, that really jumped off, and then I went and I talked to somebody in the organization, and they mentioned him separately, and that was the confirmation I needed, sort of my just pull from a hat on an Arizona trip name of the year, and that's produced pretty decent players in the past, and so hopefully that helps me get through this first base slot this year.
All right, folks. I'm down to my final 2 picks here, back to back. I've still got catcher, and I've got a bench slot open. I have no idea where to go with catcher here, and I have to put him in my starting lineup. So this is gonna look terrific. I could switch Carter Trice back to catching. How about that? No, I'll give me for my last bench spot. I think I actually.
Can I jump in and Z, maybe you could weigh in as well, but Justin Stransky was drafted last year.
Yeah.
You probably know more about him than either of us, but I saw him very briefly in spring training. I don't think he's a bad pick. I think if you're left having to take a catcher, I personally think it's not the worst thing in the world.
No, it's not. So he was actually a guy that I had on my top 20 mock that I sent to folks in and out of the organization, and
Nice.
ended up going with a different pick, which I was pretty pissed actually after that. That's a dude that, full transparency, I thought for my last pick, because I knew you were coming up, that I was going to take another catcher to mess with you, and Stransky would have been the dude I would.
Yeah. So I think you guys convinced me. I'll go Justin Stransky here for my starting catcher. What stood out last year with last year's 2 catcher picks. One was Justin Stransky, drafted in the 9th round, and then Logan Poteet, who was drafted in day 3. We saw Logan Poteet up in South Bend to end last year, and Justin Stransky in Myrtle Beach to end last season. BK, Brendan King, when he came on the podcast a few weeks ago, really sung praises for Logan Poteet and what he did in that, despite not the best results at the plate. Really liked Logan Poteet. I'm going to go with Justin Stransky here. I'm hoping that, a lot like Cade Snell, we saw Justin Stransky hit the weight room hard this past offseason, because I think that was when watching Stransky last year, the thing that stood out by far the most to me was just that he was a skinnier dude. Like, he needed to put on some weight to withstand the rigors of catching a full minor league season. So I'll go Justin Stransky with this pick. And then I mentioned it before, I think I would love to see Carter Trice really bounce back from a rough second half in Knoxville last year. So I'm going to go with Carter Trice as my final bench bat. And I think him providing a little bit of extra pop. He homered in the spring breakout game. That was super, super fun. We know that Carter Trice has pop. He just also strikes out a whole lot, but he also walks a whole lot. 3 true outcome guy. Really excited to see him this year in 2026.
For my final pick, it's an infield bench spot. I have to say we've drafted most of the infielders in the organizations, so good for us. It makes it a little tricky, but there are 2 post-hype guys that I'm deciding between. Fernando Cruz and Derniche Valdez, 2 guys that received a lot of money as amateurs. If it's been a bit of a struggle, I would say. It's tough. I think that Cruz is more projectable. Valdez, we're hearing, has hit some big home runs this spring, and that intrigues me. And so I'm going to go Derniche Valdez. This is probably his last chance to really sort of sink his teeth and make an impression to stay in this organization. And he has the talent and the skills to do it. And if the reports on this raw power that's showing up a little more are true, then it could be a decent pick for the end of the draft here.
All right, the final selection of the 2026 Cubs prospect draft goes to Greg Zumach. He's got a bench spot available. And, dude, to be fair, I'm looking at my list here, and I think I've crossed out all of the names that I had as far as position players go. So you're going off, fully off the board for the last pick. What you got? You're muted there.
I'm muted. Yeah, I'm going off the board, but just a guy that I've heard some pretty good things about, and I guess we'll just see what happens. But James Martinez.
Nice.
Yeah. IFA signing this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Was slated for last year, had some pub. They somehow convinced him to kind of wait a year, which is a gutsy pick. And not necessarily the best sign. But Francis Romero does some excellent work down in Latin America, Cuba, Dominican Republic, and does some incredible work kind of getting feedback on guys, and specifically brought up that he really liked what he was seeing from James Martinez, or at least what he was hearing. So,
and the fact that he waited a year means he's a little older, which means, a little better odds for success. And so if we're just looking at stat lines for this year, I bet he has a better chance of succeeding in the DSL than, some of the younger guys that they signed too. So I like the pick.
Yep.
All right, guys, let me speed run through. I don't know how good of audio this will make, but let me speed run through what we're looking at for our draft picks here. I've got a rotation of Jaxon Wiggins, Caleb Wing, Ethan Flanagan, Nick Dean. I feel pretty good about that. Brian's got Dominic Reed, Justin Florentino, Ariane Rodriguez, and Grant Kipp. Zumach's got Brooks Capel, Will Sanders, Tyler Schlafer, and Yenry Rojas. Extra pitchers, I've got Pierce Capola, Luis Martinez Gomez, Jake Knapp. Brian's got Riley Martin, Cohen Moreno, Eli Jerzenbeck. Zumach's got Jackson Kirkpatrick, Tyler Raz, and Cayman Franklin. We've got the catchers of Justin Stransky, Ariel Armis, and Owen Ayers. This is probably making for bad audio, so I'm going to cool it there. Or should I keep going? Is that good? Should I keep going here?
I think we can pause and get some feedback on that.
Okay. Yeah. So what are you guys' thoughts on? How do you feel about your drafts?
I feel pretty good. I mean, knowing that I was almost positive that I wasn't going to get one of my top two players in Wiggins,
fair,
or Mo, and just knowing that was almost assuredly off the table, I felt like the rotation I brought in were all guys that either have added some velo or have kind of added some oomph in the last year, and so or Cayman, who's got some upside. So yeah, I mean, I like it.
What's interesting is I was thinking Mo's a no-brainer pick because catcher's going to be real thin. But then when I look at it, Greg takes Jefferson Rojas at shortstop with the next pick. I think you could easily argue that catcher's more deep in this system than shortstop. And that was something that I don't know that I thought intuitively when we entered the draft, that doing this process is sort of revealed to me. And this is, it's probably the deepest the Cubs have been at the catcher position in the minors that as long as I've been covering the organization. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, let me walk back a little bit. I think when I came across, I was like, I don't know who to draft for catcher. Most of that was because I think that Ariel Armis.
There's three legit guys.
Yeah. Ariel Armis and Owen Ayers are guys that the Cubs have not had in the organization for several years. Like, those are legit top 30 prospects. Ariel Armis is, you could argue, top 25, and Owen Ayers is number 11 on MLB Pipeline's list. I don't know where he's at for you, Brian, but like, these are legit catching prospects, and Moises Ballesteros obviously still a catching prospect too. So like, it was more about like competing and drafting anybody, even Justin Stransky, to compete with those three guys. It's a tough act to follow. You know what I mean? So yeah, I completely agree with that. I think that like what stands out to me the most as I'm continuing to look at guys that I had on my list for pitcher that weren't drafted, I think that like, there's just we've seen a better system in terms of the pitching prospects in this organization. But what I will say is like, there's a bunch of fun dudes. Like, there's a lot of guys that I'm keeping an eye on this season. Even the guys that we drafted, like Ethan Flanagan or Ariane Rodriguez or Tyler Schlafer, those are guys that like have real like breakout potential. Tyler Raz, Eli Jerzenbeck, Jake Knapp. Like those are guys that we're kind of excited to see what we have in those pitchers. And so like the pitchers are fun, even if they're not necessarily like top 10 pitchers in the organization right now, you know? Bryan, sorry, Zumach, anything else that this kind of draft revealed to you about the system on the whole?
Just that after a few years of having a relatively deep system, now it's not that there isn't talent, it's that it's very much the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So it's like certain contact qualities, or if you really like a guy who makes good swing decisions, but he's lacking in power, or like if speed's your game or positional versatility or you know, positional value, you may gravitate towards some guys. And like, I was a huge fan of Owen Ayers. I'm not sure he's as much of a catcher. I think he could be, but like, I'm not sure he's as much of a catcher, but I'm really buying the bat. And so it's just that kind of thing where it's like Ariel Armas, like, dude, that guy can catch in the majors right now. He could just immediately get called up and catch. And I have like zero concern about that. What will the bat show? You know, I'm not sure. That's the big question. The Cubs are kind of bullish behind the scenes that he could get there though. So it's like, it's very much that after a few years of the system being really stocked in some leaner MLB years, now it sometimes when you're contending, it looks a little different. The talent, there's still talent there, but it's very much like, what kind of qualities do you gravitate towards?
Real quick, last thing before we put a bow on this episode. I'm going to kick it to both of you. Bryan, I'll start with you. Who is one player that one of the other guys here, one of the two Gregs got that you really regret not getting on your team, that you really wanted on your team that you didn't get?
I would say probably Caleb Wing. I think I wrote about Caleb in January and really high on him as a person, and then he really impressed in the spring breakout game. You know, I waited just a round too long because I thought, well, he's probably not going to pitch until mid-May, you know, in a minor league game, and that's sort of what held me back, is that maybe we don't have the innings to make it make sense in this context. But at the end of the day, it's just most fun to have dudes on your team that you really enjoy watching, and he's going to be one of those guys that the moment that we get a Caleb Wing start on video, I know that all three of us are going to be texting and making sure to watch it. So
Zumach,
he's a fun one
for sure. Zumach, who you got as a guy that you wish you would have grabbed?
Well, so I will say that Wing was one of the guys, and Hartshorn was the other one that I was really trying to convince myself at pick 4. And like, if we were just going what I was hoping to happen, it would have been Jefferson and Hartshorn. But I just thought, again, playing into a little bit more the fantasy aspect, which I don't really do, but for this, like, who's going to put up the numbers like right away? Thought Kepley. And but it was the, as soon as it happened, it was like, dang it, that was going to be pick 9 for me if it wasn't pick 4. So I think it was just a great pick. I think he's a dude that, like Bryan said, he could legitimately be the top prospect in the entire system, though I do think it'll be Jefferson this year.
Yeah, I think you getting Jefferson Rojas there overall is super fun. For me, it's Cade Snell. Bryan grabbing Cade Snell a pick after I let him go by was rough. I think that he's in store for a big season. Yeah, Bryan even throwing out like potential Cubs hitter of the year this season, which I think is super fun. One other guy for me is I think that outside of losing out on Cade Snell, Josiah Hartshorn was a guy that I was super excited to grab. Bryan, you getting Ethan Conrad also in your bench slot is hilarious. And no, I joke about him in the bench slot, but also you getting him 11th overall. We're gonna get a delayed start to his season, obviously, but he was a first round draft pick for a reason. So those guys stand out to me. So Bryan, you want to go ahead and plug yourself? Where can we find you? What should we be on the lookout for? As guys, the minor league season starts this week. The Iowa Cubs play a baseball game this Friday. The Chicago Cubs play a baseball game this Thursday. The Iowa Cubs play a baseball game this Friday. So we're going to get minor league action coming up this weekend. Anything to plug as we enter this season, Bryan?
Yeah, I just turned in my March Baseball America report today, and I can spoil that it's about Jefferson Rojas. And I talked to Jefferson. I talked to Lance Reimel, his Knoxville manager, and I talked to Craig Counsell about Jefferson Rojas, and wrote a piece about a guy that's gotten a lot stronger, is working on changing the posture of his batting stance, and is seeing the results of more power already.
Zumach, where can we find you this fine minor league season?
Yeah, you can find me at the Baseball Tribune, which is a free Substack. Please subscribe. You don't have to. I don't charge for it, but it's helpful that I can send you everything really early on. Wrapping up my first mock, and then wrapping up a behind the seams with 5 Cubs pitching prospects that should be out here just at the start of the minor league season. So
Nice.
That'll kind of drop that same day. And I also want to plug Bryan a little bit, because with Baseball America, that is, I don't know if we've talked as much about that he's contributing in that space. And for me, as somebody who grew up reading Baseball America and now canceled my subscription because Bryan's writing for it. No, but as somebody who grew up, reading it, and in particular, like, I think we have a lot of legends in that space, but like Jim Callis before he went to Pipeline,
Yep.
that is just truly one of the coolest things, that somebody who's immensely qualified to do it and is doing an amazing job at it already. But on this pod is writing for Baseball America. And I don't want to let that go by, because I know that Bryan will not brag about himself. But I think it is well deserved here. And with a quick BA plug there, Josh Norris of Baseball America has an absolutely beautiful slow motion Jefferson Rojas home run on Twitter, X, whatever we want to use. I just retweeted. I highly recommend everybody looks at it. Incredible, like, change of swing plane, and to still elevate. It's just chef kiss. So anyway, Bryan, Baseball America, just want to say congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Bryan's writing is just as beautiful as an open face Jefferson Rojas home run swing.
I don't know about
that. All right, guys, you can check me out on Twitter at Out of the Vines, over on Blue Sky, writing over at outofthevines.com. We'll be podcasting throughout the year. We'll be back weekly throughout the season. I was talking with these guys before we started recording. I'm not sure what this next week's episode looks like, right? We have 3 games to cover. We have 3 Iowa Cubs games, but no other affiliates are playing this upcoming weekend. And so that first episode of the season is kind of strange. It's a kind of strange setup, but we'll be back in your ears for that episode for sure. And we'll be back, like I said, every week throughout the season, breaking down these players. We're really excited. This is guys, what is this? The 4th full season of this podcast, of the Cubs on Deck podcast. And you guys out there listening have been absolutely tremendous from day one, checking in, commenting on YouTube, commenting on Twitter, sharing over at 1060 West Discord channel, all those different things. We cannot thank you guys enough. We're super excited to keep bringing you content about the Cubs prospect and the Cubs system over the course of the season. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back in your ears very soon.
Go Cubs!